Go.
Hi, good morning. Today we are going to be presenting on dyslexia. We are group 6 and we're going to be basically viewing on the Spanish region. Our group members are me, myself, Stacy-Ann Williams, Shantae Swaby, Jamil Morris, Kimon Harrison, and Chantal Bryan. Up next, we'll have Ms. Chantal Bryan to do further discussion on the topic.
Go.
So today we'll talk about the context of the problem. Here we have Antonio. He's 14 years old. He was unable to cope. He was unable to copy information that the teacher provided in classroom when asked to go to page 73.
Go.
So today we'll be discussing the context of the problem. Here we have Antonio, who is 14 years old. He was unable to copy information that the teacher provided in class. When asked to turn to page 73, he went to page 37. Whenever the teacher asked him to read, he always found an excuse to skip reading. The reason why this learning disability was chosen is to help ourselves as student teachers to learn and understand how to identify the symptoms and signs of dyslexic students who has demonstrated features of a moderate, severe, or profound learning disability with dyslexia. It is important because we as teachers can assist the students with their learning disabilities by providing a special education program to aid their progress in cognition and learning with disability. Now, Anthony Rodriguez is 14 years old and attended the Bronson High School in Madrid. He has poor short-term memory skill and has trouble organizing himself. He struggles to remember items that appear in a series such as numbers in advance, mathematical equation, and may appear to have trouble concentrating. He often fails to complete assignments properly and in assignments on time. Grammar, sentence structure, and spelling was gradually difficult for him. His parents got worried, so they took Antonio to a specialist. They found that he was dyslexic, and so Antonio's parents had to pull him out of Bronson High School and placed in therapy for a period of time. Throughout Antonio's stay in therapy, he made rapid improvement, and at the age of 50, he went back to his previous high school where he is doing well.
Supporting research and scholarship on dyslexia. What is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Types of dyslexia. Trauma dyslexia. This usually occurs after some form of brain trauma or injury to the area of the brain that controls reading and writing. Primary dyslexia. Dyslexia is passed in family lines through their genes or heritage. It is found more often in boys than in girls. Development or secondary dyslexia. According to a research done by the University of Granada in Spain, there are not many students with dyslexia in Spain, but for those students who show signs of dyslexia are tested to see if they display the following hypotheses based on the test. They are visual deficit hypothesis, phonological deficit hypothesis, and automation deficit hypothesis. According to research done by Dyslexia SPLD Trust, students are tested phonologically first to see if they show symptoms of dyslexia. Visual deficit hypothesis, that is when the students see words or letters differently. Phonological deficit hypothesis, repetition of non-words, short memory, and attention problems. Automation deficit hypothesis, how quickly one can recognize a word while reading. Dyslexia is a heterogeneous meaning persons with dyslexia are not the same and not similar in any way.
Okay, we'll be looking at the solutions supporting the research. Okay, the first one is that breaking work into small sequential steps, then large font sizes and clear fonts on printouts, put in the lecture notes on colored paper, explaining in terms of the big picture. Another one is ensure that the writing is well spaced and leave writing on the blackboard for a while so that the students can have time, the dyslexic students can have time to write it down. The next one is that every teacher frequently uses phonics, a phonics tracker, and reviews the children's progress on what they have done. We then monitor the coding, we monitor the children's writing as well. Okay, the next one is to spot gaps in knowledge, such as spelling ground, the word ground as ground, the OW, because some of them will see the word, the OW in the ground and think it is brown. Then we know when to introduce and teach them how to introduce the variation, OU. We have to use, we have a use it or lose it approach. If we spot consistent mistakes, we revisit these with the whole class. We plan, follow the plan, and revisit the plan. If it's not taken on the board, we know which children to support. The Dyslexia Trust SPLD uses 3 waves, which are wave 1, which is the majority of children achieve well through high quality classroom teaching when children are being taught to read. Quality first teaching provides high quality systematic phonic work as a part of a broad and rich curriculum that engages children in a range of activities and experience to develop their speaking and listening skills and phonological awareness. With 2, small group and one-to-one interventions. Some children require additional support. This means one-to-one approach, knowing the child one-on-one. This can often be provided through a small group time limited intervention programs delivered by members of the school's classroom based on support team that will advance the children's progress and help them achieve in line with their peers. Wave 3, intensive supports. This is those children who require the person. Okay, the issues with dyslexia. Level of production and work varies from day to day. Losing time problems to prioritizing completing tasks, wasting time. Take spoken or written language literally. Problems with the generalization, applying information to new different situations. Poor memory, quick learner but quick forgetter as well. Difficulty following oral direction and remembering what they have been told. The interventions, and that will be Stacy-Ann Williams.
Interventions for students with dyslexia. They developing awareness, phonics and fluency. They should receive instruction in vocabulary, background knowledge, and comprehension strategies. They also need to be given appropriate accommodations. Intervention should also focus on the preservation of self-esteem. Procedures as it relates to the classroom in Spain. Ending the lesson with a resume of what has been taught. When homework is set, it is important to check that the child correctly writes down exactly. Teacher documentation is required as a result of all interventions. Teachers are required to provide ongoing assessment and progress monitoring for risk for dyslexia students. Teachers must document all progress extensively. Data from schools and teachers is also used to determine if the student qualifies.
So we are going to be looking at our interventions for Antonio Rodriguez in regards to the dyslexic status, his dyslexic status. Alright, so phase 1, after 24 weeks, we would let him attend regular classes, using regular curriculum after school, attend therapy sessions for 1 to 2.5 hours with a specialist, right? So we're moving on to the phase 2 now, in which we will provide an alternate way of learning. Alternate way of learning the curriculum. Whereas accommodation do not change the curriculum but makes changes in how information is presented. So basically, whenever he's in the classroom, you do not single him out, you kind of have an inclusion with him so that he can catch on. Moving on to the third phase, multiple intelligence can be used for a period of 24 weeks, which would include musical, dance, linguistic, and interpersonal skills. Basically, viewing those intelligences, we know that students learn differently in a class environment. So what we'll do, we'll try to figure out what suits them best so that they can go ahead and be progressive in class.
We are ready.
Phase 4, teachers are granted freedom to provide students in a manner designed to accelerate reading improvements in the mainstream classroom. So therefore, you're going to be grouping them in the wide area classroom, to see how they function, and moving on to phase 5, where teachers may separate students from the mainstream for small group instruction. So you take them out and you have one-on-one with them to view their problem. Phase 6, this enables us to identify the activities for Antonia's interest and to use those activities as a part to assist him for learning. And the final phase, which is phase 7, as we suggest that the school employ a learning specialist for assisting Antonia and others with similar learning challenges.
I'm so sorry.